Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I am here with a new series called Boxed Lunch. This series is going to come to you on Wednesdays, approximately noontime Eastern. Basically what a boxed lunch series is, we're going to make a random box during your lunch break. So when I was working, I loved to catch up on my crafty videos during my lunch break and or make a cute little project. So I'm going to have these boxes for random items I find. Hopefully keep them to 30 minutes or less every Wednesday around noon Eastern time. Okay, so I actually already did a whole video and I was going to do 2 boxes in one, but the video was too long. So we're just going to go ahead and do 1 box. Okay, so I am going to find random items that I think will be super cute for a craft fair, right? So this is actually a 3-fer series, maybe even a 4-fer. Number 1, to bring you a little crafty mojo during your lunch break, whether you work or not. Use your scraps, which I'm going to be using the Simple Vintage Country Harvest pad, sticker book, and foam sheets. This is what I have left over from the mini album I just made. So that's 2. We're going to learn how to do the box formula that I do, repetition, repetition, repetition. And this is going to get you ready for a craft fair. So 4. So 4, a 4-fer, all right? All right. Whenever I do my boxes, I start off with a piece of cardstock that is inexpensive. I get the Nina cardstock at Sam's for super cheap. I also just got some on the base, a whole pack of it for like less than $5. It's kind of a thin cardstock, but you don't mind using it because usually your prototype you just throw away, right? So I just call it throwaway cardstock. It's cheap. All right. So I'm going to show you from start to finish, but I am going to use Stampin' Up! Early Espresso for my final box. Now you can get 2 of these boxes from 1 sheet of 8.5 by 11 cardstock, right? Super, super good deal. So let's go ahead and start our process, okay? So we're going to measure our Tide stick. You can get 3 of these in a pack, and I know they're less than $5. I don't remember how much I paid because I buy a lot of these, and I think you can get it at Dollar Tree too, but the multi-pack will be a little bit cheaper. You can sell these decorated for like $2 or $3, especially for your Christmas rush. People pay more for Christmas during Christmas time. All right, so this is roughly 5.5. I use my grid, but I'll show you here. So it's roughly 5.5 by, I'm just going to call it 1 inch thick by 3/4. Okay, right. Now I do already have this somewhere on my desk because I've already made it, but I have no idea what I did with it, and I wanted to show you guys from start to finish. Okay, so this is how I draw mine out. Going forward, we're not going to have this much commentary on the boxes. I'm just going to draw it out and be done with it. Okay, so this is going to be my flap here. So when you take your item, you need to do your left side, and I already determined that's going to be 3/4. So now I need to cover the top of my item, which is going to be 1. Obviously, my boxes are not to scale. I don't care. So that's the top. Now I need to do the right side of my item, right? So my right side is going to be 3/4. Now I need to get to the back. So that's going to be another 1 inch because that's what I said the top was. And now I need to close my box off. So I need another flap that's 3/4. Okay, so this is going to be this way. So let's go ahead and we're going to math that out. You can do it in your head or whatever. So 1, 2, 3.5, 4 1/4. 1, 2, 3. And because I'm second guessing myself, let's go. Calculator. 0.75 plus 1 plus 0.75 plus 1 plus 0.75. 4 1/4. That's a 4. 4 1/4. 4 1/4. Right. Now, I need to find my measurements going the long way, but I'm not done drawing my boxes. I need to cover the top of my opening here, right? So this is going to be 3/4 of an inch. So, and you can turn your paper this way if it makes it better, because this is how it's actually going to be. But 3/4. And then I need a little flap to kind of just cover it and finish it off. So I'm going to do 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch. And I'm going to do the same to the bottom, 3/4 and 1/2 inch. Okay. So going this way, my measurement is going to be, let's see, 0.5, because 1/2 inch, plus 0.75, because 3/4 of an inch, plus 5 1/2, which is my length, plus 3/4, plus 1/2, it's going to be by 8. Okay, so there's my measurements. 8 by 4 1/4. Okay. All right. So 4 1/4 cuts your 8 1/2 by 11 1/2. So you need 4 1/4 by 8. So you can make 2 boxes out of this, or you can use your other piece as a matching card, right? Anyway, okay, so let's take a look at our cardstock. So we know with our arrows, this is 4 1/4, so going left to right is 4 1/4. That's going to be our short side because that's the shorter measurement. So on the short side, we need to do these measurements that we drew out, okay? So this is how I do it. Using your scoreboard is a little bit easier. I just don't feel like getting mine, so paper trimmer. All right, so I need 3/4 of an inch because that's what my first box says, okay? So 3/4. I'm gonna go ahead and write that down. Next, I need an inch from that 3/4. So you can obviously add an inch to that, that's 1 3/4, or you can just move it over 4 places. All right, so this is going to be 1 3/4. Okay, so I already have this, Now I need another 3/4 of an inch. So you just move over 3. 1, 2, 3. That's going to be 2 1/2. Okay, so I got that. I need another inch, so that's going to be 3 1/2. And that should give me that last flap, that's 3/4 of an inch. Okay, so 3 1/2. Now our long side, you're going to rotate it. If you have to rotate your picture, that's fine, because now we need these flaps here. But you also need your length number, okay? So I know I need 1/2 inch, because that's my first measurement. That's going to be my flap. I need 3/4 of an inch because that's my coverage, my whole coverage. So I have 1/2 inch. And then I need to add 3/4, so I'm just going to move it over. 1, 2, 3, which is 1 1/4. So 1 1/4, and you're going to do that on both sides. You're going to need 1/2 inch and your 3/4. Now I'm using a Stampin' Up! Paper trimmer, so my measurements are on the left, and then I have a small measurement here on the right, which I love. And I'm just going to do the same thing, 1/2 inch, 1.25 inches. Now, if you're using your scoreboard, that's going to be 3/4, 1.25 inches, 6 3/4, 6 3/4, and 7.5. I hate rotating on my board, on my scoreboard. I just like to keep it in one place. I don't know, it's lazy. So that's why I'm going to give you both ways. You can 1/2 1.25 inch, rotate, do the same thing, or just keep it in one position and do all 4. Okay, let's go ahead and varnish our box so you can see my score line, so you can see my cutting better. Varnishing is very, very, very important when you have boxes. Okay, now if you mismeasure slightly, it's not going to be a big deal. If you mismeasure a lot, well, obviously that's going to be a big deal. But if you're just slightly off because you were watching TV or whatever, you'll be fine. I didn't push it all the way to the right place on the scoreboard. Okay, so let's put our paper like this. This is my usual box. I don't need this. I don't need this. I don't need this. I don't need this. On both sides. So the top and bottom 4 boxes, we don't need. I'm going to use my scissors. You can use your paper trimmer if you want a more accurate cut. What I do to the bottom, I'm going to do the top. Hopefully this is in frame. Okay. And that's it. So put it back to starting position when your flap is here on the right. You need to go ahead and miter the corners of your flap, which is just taking a little diagonal sliver. Some people call it tapering. I call it mitering. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and deal with these. So you have 6 little boxes down here. This looks like a Hershey bar. And up there. We don't need that box, and we don't need that box. And we need to cut up, here we go, these score lines, okay? So however you want to do it first. Some people like to do, they're cutting up the score lines first and then cut those boxes off. I go back and forth. Now for me, I'm going to cut off a little bit more after that. I don't know if you guys can see that, but my score line, here it's folded. I cut off a little bit past my score line only because I like shorter flaps. And I'm going to miter my flaps. You do not have to do that. You can just cut right there on the score line and it'll be good to go. I just don't like my flaps touching. Like so. This one I didn't cut past the score line and see my flaps are touching. I don't know why that bothers me, but it does. It's random. It's weird. It doesn't matter, but for me it does. All right, whatever I do to the top, I got to do to the bottom. So I'm going to cut. And honestly, I don't care if my flaps are straight or not when I cut. You may want to get a ruler if you want to. Yeah, I can have cricket flaps, but I can't have them touching. We all have our own quirks, right? Nobody said I was normal. All right, corner chomper. I like to chomp my flaps. I use the 1/4 inch just to take a little tiny bit. I think the 1/2 inch side would be too much for this little tiny box, but you do what you want. Okay, let me get rid of all these pieces. Here's our box. Okay, so put it back to starting position where your flap is to the right. And now what we're gonna do is make sure our box matches. Mine does, so I don't need to cut anything off of this flap. If it doesn't match perfectly, you can just cut a tiny sliver off this flap and it will work. So I'm going to fold my flap in. I'm going to grab some glue and go ahead and glue it down. And match it up and make sure it's right. Mine's slightly off, but that's okay. My paper may have been off to begin with. I've noticed that. Sometimes Stampin' Up, the paper is 1/8 of an inch bigger than what it's supposed to be, or 1/16 of an inch, and so you're slightly off. As long as your box can fold flat, then you're right on task. All right, so we're gonna go ahead. So see how mine is just resisting? That's one of two things. Either I didn't miter my flaps, or in this case, I did not cut off my score line properly. So I'm just taking this itty bitty sliver. Take little tiny slivers, like my hair is probably thicker than this. One strand of my hair. Take a tiny sliver off at a time, because if you take too much off, then your box is not going to close right and you're going to have to glue it shut on the one side. All right, that little piece of hair was great. Making sure this fits. Perfect. Okay, let's decorate it. I'm gonna open my box and here's my front. That's my front. All right, let's pick our paper. Obviously I have not picked anything and that's sticky. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna use these scraps. Ooh. Right here. Ha, that is perfect. And so I have that scrap that is the same size. The cut-up parts in this, I think, are going to be too big for my box. But let's see if I have any. I don't. Yeah, they're too big. Let's go with the stickers. Oh, these are perfect for this box. Okay, so I'm going to go with... And what we're not gonna do is think too much about this, okay? So we're gonna go for it. Now I don't particularly like that scrap with any of these, but I definitely want to use these stickers here. So let me look at my other scraps. This is actually the exact, yep, okay. I'm going with this scrap. And I'm gonna go with this truck. Okay, so this is what, 1 inch by 5.5. So I'm gonna go 7/8 of an inch, 7/8 by 5 3/8. Just giving myself 1/8 of an inch border. Like so. Yep. We're not overthinking, because to be honest, most people who buy these at craft fairs are not crafters, or they would make it themselves, right? And the person receiving it is usually not a crafter, and so they're just going to throw it away. So the less time you spend on these, the better. Now, if I'm giving this as a crafty gift to a crafty person, I'm going to go ahead and cover all the sides. But since I'm doing this just for the craft fair, I'm not going to cover all sides. We're just covering that top. Sticker. We are going to use the truck because it's super cute, which is down here on the bottom. And this is where I'm going to decide if I want to back this on anything, which I'm going to have to because it goes over. But I'm going to use scraps that we cut off. It doesn't matter what color. You can use your powder or whatever to get rid of the sticky. I'm just going to back it on cardstock and I'm just going to cut it out. I don't like to fussy cut, so I'm cutting right on the line. And honestly, I'm not caring what the behind the cardstock looks like because this is just to prevent the sticky. But normally I would just use like some baby powder or something to get rid of the stick. But I don't know if I have any here, so I'm just gonna cut it out. And again, because this has a white border, if your cardstock is wonky underneath, nobody's gonna know. There we go, perfect. And I'm going to go ahead and pop this up on foam tape, which I don't know if I have any. My plan was to do nothing but mini albums while I was here. But then, of course, after like 2 weeks, I was like, no, I need to do everything. So I have like little pieces of foam tape that I found in my stash. I did go and buy some foam squares. I don't know where they are right now. So these are little foams that I found in my stash. Because obviously, well, not obviously, some of you don't know. Right now, I am in a different country. I do not have my full craft room. All I have is what I could fit in a 50-pound suitcase, which was a lot of stuff. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and center this as best as I can, like so. I think I do want the little sentiment that was there. It said, happy fall. Well, you can pick any of the little sentiments. This one says happy fall. That one says perfect pick. I'm going to do happy fall, I think. And I kind of just want it to, here we go. I just kind of want it to go there. I like that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is put a tiny little piece of foam dot on the left. I hear water running. I don't know where it's coming from. All right, I'm going to put it on the side of the sticker that is going to be hanging off of my little car thing, which I didn't put it far enough. Just so that way they're the same height. And I actually put too much. So I'm just going to do just a tiny little piece and I'm going to cut the rest of this off. I really want to know what that water was. Because all I had on was the dryer and nobody else is here. Anyway, happy fall. So cute. You can continue decorating. You can add some twine, some jute. That all will be super cute. But again, the person is going to throw this in the trash. They're going to take the Tide pen and throw it away. So don't do too much. How absolutely adorable is this? Again, you can add more paper if you want. I'm not going to because I'm going to hopefully do a craft fair. Maybe not. Well, I can't do it this year because I don't know what they have going on over here. But maybe spring. So yeah, so I'm not going to cover it. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.